Starbane's Avenue.
Coming to you live from our houses in Los Angeles, California, it's Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone, your comedy field guide to life. Tonight, polling the pulse of the public. But can you trust polls that say 52% of Americans don't trust polls? Mohammed Younis, editor-in-chief of the Gallup poll, picked up the phone when we called and he said, "Why, yes, I have 15 minutes to answer important questions about polling. Plus, letter writing. Is sending a handwritten missive bound for the dead letter file? Dear United States Postal Service, please stay open long enough for Paula Poundstone to mail one last letter. Yours truly, Nobody." I'm Adam Felber, the man who strives to keep our conversations on topic within the standard margin of error. And now, please welcome a woman whose standard deviation from the topic at hand always makes her an outlier, Paula Poundstone!
Hey!
Hey!
Hey, you guys!
Welcome, Paula!
It's so nice to be, well, here. You know where
Where's
I am?
here?
I'm in my bedroom/office with my dog Sirius. I have a folding chair on my treadmill. And
Okay.
If I accidentally hit a button, I am going off the back of this thing.
Yeah, which makes me wonder why you've decided to set up on a treadmill.
There's not a lot of room in my bedroom/office.
Yeah, I
And
guess that's why I have decided to set up on the edge of a shark tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No,
want to
no,
be
no.
careful. You want to be careful with that. I bet
Yeah.
Captain Crinkle, I know she has this fabulous outdoor furniture that's very expensive. It's high end. I heard about it.
Unbelievable. She got it through honey.com, one of our
Yeah.
sponsors.
That's exactly correct. And she spends a lot of time out there just
Oh, yeah. She's getting her
thinking
money's
how
worth.
much. She just sits out there and thinks how much money she paid for that furniture because it's high end furniture.
Captain Crinkle, are you on your couch?
Actually, it's a gloomy day here in California.
Doesn't
Southern
matter.
California. No,
It doesn't matter. When you pay for high-end furniture, by God, you put your end in that furniture no matter what the weather is.
Yeah, I could have
That's
the
right.
cushions inside, just sitting around on them. For
Wow,
paying
that is-
$60 a cushion. No, I am upstairs in my bedroom, sitting on the bed, which, by the way, I haven't slept in for, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm downstairs sleeping on the couch because I have been by myself for 3 or 4 weeks. And you know what? I don't give a fuck. I've got the same pajama bottoms that I've been wearing for that long a time. I think I changed my t-shirt once. Haven't brushed the
Bonnie?
teeth. I don't see it.
Bonnie?
You know what?
Bonnie, nobody asked you about that.
No, but I think
We
this
asked where you were recording from. That's it.
is important information.
It's
know
not,
what?
Paula.
It is. I am so glad we're not in the studio. And until this moment, I really hadn't been. But now,
Yeah.
this is
Me
excellent
too.
I'm setting
news.
the scene. I'm setting the scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you
know
for
what?
that.
If you are overtaken by the virus, the first responders aren't coming in.
Okay, I
yeah.
feel like we've gone deep enough into your life, Bonnie. Tony Anita Hull. Tony Anita Hull, let's see if you can do what Bonnie failed to do. Where are you
Wait a
recording
minute.
from?
Bonnie, can you
Paula.
tell us, Captain Crinkle, can you tell us where Tony is? I think that would be good.
I think she's in her studio apartment, but I don't know if she's sitting at the table. She might be in bed.
We could ask her.
She's in a studio apartment. She doesn't have a lot of choices.
That's true.
So usually what we like to ask Tony is, which way are you facing?
We could ask her. We could ask her any of these things.
I just spit took my coffee all over my computer screen.
Doesn't
Thanks,
matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Love
That's
the play-by-plays.
yeah. That's in keeping with today's theme. Tony, where are you?
I'm sitting at my desk in my office facing west.
In your
All right.
office? You know
In my
what?
office.
Don't you bullshit us. You don't have an office in a studio apartment.
No, for tax purposes, I do have an office.
Oh, nice. No, I used to do that in my apartment in New York. Absolutely.
Yes.
Tony, is your office that little formica table underneath what would normally be like the kitchen phone?
Yeah, sounded.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. Where does your assistant sit?
You know, Paula, before we actually wrap up today's show, I'd like to welcome our house band.
The house band.
A big welcome to tonight's house band, Jim Ross on the trumpet.
Yeah.
The house band is my oldest friend in the world. We've known each other since we were 3 years old. He was my best friend and my chief rival. It wasn't until he went to Harvard that I realized there wasn't much of a rivalry and that he had really kicked the shit out of me by, say, first grade. But by golly, I thought he was just a stride or two ahead of me for the longest time.
You were neck and neck for so long until you realized you weren't.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Turned out it was another kid I was seeing. It's a kid named Brian, I think. Anyways, yes, he started playing the French horn. He started with the trumpet in the 4th grade when everyone gets the band instrument, you know. And then the music teacher took his mother aside and said, well, you know, he's kind of really great at this. He should get a French horn. And from then on, I spent really the rest of our, you know, primary education years trying to get him not to practice. Because I just thought it was boring. I just thought, like, would you stop that and come out and play kick the can? And so I spent my whole life.
And let me ask you, Paula, what possible use did the trumpet and French horn practice ever pay off with?
Honestly, what's he doing now? He's a conductor. He's
Okay.
a conductor of the Alexandria Orchestra, and he's performed all over the world and assembles orchestras, youth orchestras all over the world. So I was right and he was wrong. Let's face it.
I think that's clear, absolutely clear.
Yep.
Well, welcome, Jim, from Alexandria.
Just last summer, he beat me in a game of ping pong because he cheated. There.
Did he cheat?
Well, yeah.
Or did he just beat you?
No, he hit the ball in such a way as that I could not return it.
Yeah, that's not cheating, Paula.
Oh.
That's not cheating at all.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. That's exactly why Roger Federer has that appliance store, because he knows he might be in a game someday with somebody who cheats like that, hits the ball in such a way that he can't return it. And so he's got to have something to fall back on.
I'm not even going to begin to unpack that. Let's move on.
Because I'm right again. Adam Felbert. Adam.
Oh, no.
Adam
Yes?
Felbert. It is French Trump.
Hi, French Trump.
It is so good to talk to you. I wanted to tell you that I now have my own French Trump press conference. French press, so to speak.
That's right. For those of you who don't know, every Friday now we're going to be releasing press conferences with French Trump.
That is correct. I have my own press conference. I have no medical people standing behind me correcting me. That's bullshit. I don't need that. I have a natural ability, born into the world with an ability to understand the medicine. And that is why I'm now holding my own press conference. Drops every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I heard the first press conference, and it was very enlightening, French Trump.
Thank you, Adam Felbert. Eastern Standard Time would include such states as New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Maine, Massachusetts. These are all Eastern Standard Time states.
Well, I would point out two things. Number one, most of us know that. And number two, we're not on Eastern Standard Time anymore. It would be Eastern Daylight Time.
No.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
clock switched about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
No, that doesn't
No,
look
no,
correct.
they definitely did. We're not on standard time right now.
No, it is. It is standard time. Standard time.
No, it's daylight time.
You know what? You don't know
What?
because you're not. You are where do you live? California?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about the eastern states, Adam Felber. New York, Maine, New Hampshire,
I
Vermont.
get it,
You know,
French Trump.
I was born into the world with a certain geographical understanding.
Okay,
The
yeah.
day I was born, I said to my mother, "You make a left." That's the kind of, instinct. I have an instinct.
Instinct?
Instinct. I have an instinct for medicine and directions. That is correct. Anyways, Fridays, look for my press conference on Fridays. You can go to paulapoundstone.com.
Fridays, everybody. French Trump, everybody.
French press. You know, Adam,
Yes.
I love writing letters. That's one of the things that I do with my time. Every interview I do now, and I have done some during this period, people say, "What are you doing? What are you doing with your time?" I love to write letters. It's one of my favorite
I
things
know that
in the
about
entire
you.
world. But you know what happens to me now?
What?
I start, I get like, "Dear, blah, 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 hope you and your family are safe." And then I realize I have nothing to say.
Well,
What do
yeah,
you
because
say?
none of us are doing anything.
I wrote to somebody recently and I said, "I've been thinking of moving the hand soap refill to under the sink." And I remember in like junior high English when they talked about, put in sentences will make your reader want more. And I just can imagine. In fact, it's Jim's mother I wrote to. I wrote to Mrs. Ross. And I'm
really?
sure that when she got to the end of the page, she was like, "Where's the rest?" So excited to find out if maybe I'm going to clean the silverware drawer. And I am.
Are you gonna? Yeah. Well, you know what? Everything in my house is being cleaned too because there's really nothing else to do.
Yeah. Did I tell you? The pod puppy, I trained her to clean my linen closet. She's fantastic.
What?
Yes. She
What does she do?
organized it. She folded the towels, and she organized things. She put the Christmas hand towels on the top shelf. She got the can of beans out of there and the Nerf gun. She put the Nerf gun away.
This sounds like one of those instances where you're confusing the pod puppy with Wendell, your assistant.
No, it wasn't Wendell. But I'll tell you something. He better fear for his job about now because the pod puppy did a fantastic job. And all I had to do was say, "Go clean the linen closet." And she took off like a bat out of hell.
Wow.
So the pod puppy is not perfect. I don't want people to feel jealous.
I don't
I
think
got
anybody
woken up-
feels that.
I got woken up by the pod puppy just a couple mornings ago. I usually let her out around 7 o'clock, and frankly, I go back to bed for a little while. And but I went back to bed, and she's out there barking and barking and barking. And finally, I was, I tried like calling her as if that was going to make a difference. And finally, I got up to go see what the problem was, and there was a man in my backyard.
Horrors! What?
There was a man in my backyard.
No!
He was working at the house that they've been building for 4 years. You know, the one I've talked about before with
Yes,
the
yes.
constant
If
construction?
you're a new listener, Paula Poundstone's next door neighbors are building some kind of crazy 3-level McMansion next to her and have been doing so since the previous century, it feels like.
It's been 4 years, and
Yeah.
every year at Christmas, well, not last year, but for 3 years, they gave me cookies with a little note saying, "Thanks for your patience." I think this last year they realized that my patience had run out, and there was no sense giving me trying to suck up with cookies. But I'll tell you, there are not enough cookies in the world to make up for this transgression. What he was doing was he was putting, first of all, there's these Mr. Drysdale tall shrubs that are in between my house and the other house. The last people who lived there planted
Mr.
them.
Drysdale.
From Beverly Hillbillies. They're very
Okay.
tall. And so they were out there trimming those. So 7 o'clock in the morning, that, right? And then,
Was that
because he
a
wasn't
trimming
using,
noise?
It wasn't little clippings. It wasn't like. It was nya 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 nya. So
Okay.
then when the boughs fell in my yard, the guy came in the yard. The good news is he came in the yard to throw them over to the other side, which I appreciate them not leaving them there the way they did all the cement shit in my mulch pile. But at the same time, a nice knock on the door or a phone call to say, we're going to be in your yard. I mean, they're lucky the pod puppy didn't tear them limb for limb, or go in there and redo their linen closet. But I'm out of work temporarily, I tell myself. But construction can still go on because Gavin Newsom, who is doing a fabulous job as our governor, by the way.
I really think Gavin Newsom is doing a great job.
I do too. But he has said that construction work can still go on. They can still do construction work. And apparently they decided that any really annoying job is okay to continue. So
I don't think that's the criteria.
Lessons,
I think there's different. No, the bagpipe lessons have not continued.
Yeah, the bagpipe lessons have continued because it's annoying.
No, I think you're taking it personally because you have construction next door.
No, this is a thing. You can go on the California governor's website and find it.
Yes.
Any annoying job. There was a Vuvuzela meeting on the other side of the alley
the
from me.
Vuvuzela, yes, of course.
Yeah, exactly. The government is now paying dogs to bark because that's fine to continue.
Yeah, I
Bonnie's
don't
dogs
feel like this is an entirely accurate representation.
No, this is true. Captain Crinkle can back me up on this because, she's my manager, so technically she's not really making any money now either. But so her dogs, Crackle and Snap, have had to go to work. And so those dogs bark like 24 hours a day.
I would imagine Captain Crinkle is allowed to continue all her activities.
Oh, yeah.
If
she's
what
crinkling.
you say is true. Yeah.
Yeah. She actually, Gavin Newsom, thank you, Captain Crinkle.
Thank you for that audio aid, Captain Crinkle.
You know what that was? That was her check from Gavin Newsom. She was just crumpling it up. She doesn't even fucking need it. She's so rich.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those dogs are really making her a lot of money.
I'm sure they are. Hey, something... Thank you, Captain Crinkle. God damn it, Bonnie.
You know what's great?
What?
It's annoying even when we're not in the studio.
Yeah, that is amazing. She is able to do her job.
Yeah, so that feeling, we wondered, will we have the same feeling if we're not together? And the answer, I think, is definitively yes.
If by feeling you mean the feeling that Captain Crinkle instills in, for instance, me, absolutely.
Yeah.
She is...
Hey, Adam, I have a word.
Do you really?
I do.
All right.
I have a word. It's Qatar.
Oh, Qatar. Yes, that's an old word.
It's a noun that means excessive mucus in the throat or nose.
Uh-huh.
Here, I'll use it in a sentence. Even if I'm quarantined, I'll never be alone because I have my Qatar.
Yeah, that is true. You are maybe the most mucusy person I've ever met.
I am. Yeah, it is. I don't talk about it a lot, but I needn't.
No,
it makes itself clear.
You don't have nasal congestion. I mean, it's not like
I
for
do.
people who don't know you. You do?
I blow my nose 1,000,000 times a day. We can get further in the car with no gas than we can with no Kleenex.
Really? Wow. All right, so Qatar is your word.
Yeah, Qatar is my word. And last week we had that wonderful lexicographer, and she had such nice things to say about the educational value of my vocabulary song.
She actually didn't, and I urge our listeners to go back and listen to her not saying that.
No, she did, and it gave me a renewed. I want to thank her so much,
I think,
because it gave me a renewed sense of purpose.
It shouldn't have. Yeah, okay.
No, like others, sometimes I get a little down about myself. And then a thing like what we had happen last week, just with the accolades from this
Yeah, but
woman.
there were no accolades from her.
No, there were. And I just want to thank her, and thank you guys for all these months of encouragement on my song. So here's what I got this week. Ready? This week's word is guitar. It's a noun that means excessive mucus in the throat or nose. You can hear it in every one of my shows. Last week's word was cataplexy. It's a noun that means a medical condition in which strong emotion or laughter causes a person to experience sudden weakness in the muscles. Ha, 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 I can't budge. The week before that, the word was lacuna. It's a noun that means gap or... Going back before that, we had tautology. It's a noun that means saying the same thing over again in different words. Considered a fault of style. See you soon in a little while. And not long ago, the word was temerity. It's a noun that means rash or presumptuous daring. Let's never forget gallimaufry. It's a noun that means confused jumble or medley of things. Hodgepodge, who's podge, hodgepodge. Adam doesn't think my song is replicable, but I do. Oh my God.
Wow, that was something else, Paula.
Wow. I'll tell you something.
That was really, really great.
I left it all on the Glock, baby.
Yeah, but you know what? With a little bit of Lysol and a paper towel, you can clean that up.
You know, the thing about guitar is it just stays with you.
Oh, yeah. Unlike the vocabulary song. Paula?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You can stop playing that Glock anytime.
I was just jamming. Oh, my God. You know, what's frustrating is that a lot of musicians, and thank you, nobodies, a lot of our nobodies are musicians, and many of them have contacted me saying, could we jam sometime?
Have they?
And I'm not available now because of the virus. It's
right.
just one of the ways it's interrupted our lives.
Yeah, I would imagine that jamming with you on Glock would be somewhat difficult.
Why?
Well, to my knowledge, you know only like one or two songs.
To your knowledge.
And your Glock.
Oh, my friend.
And your Glock,
Adam,
unlike the Glock that... No, I really don't. I want to make a point about the Glockenspiel here.
No, Adam,
really.
Answer the phone.
I would really rather not. Oh,
Answer the phone. Yeah, hey, Adam. It's me, Mike Bum Bum Bonifant. Man, you're right. She knows like one fucking song. You know what I mean? This week's word. She doesn't know any more songs, and then she can't jam with she can't jam with anybody. You know what I mean?
Mike. What you mean is exactly what I just said.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to back you up, man. Am I the 100th caller?
No, Mike. I think you're something like 55, but I don't. Tony, what caller is Mike?
55.
55.
Oh, thanks, Tony. I really like you.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
Yeah. Oh man, I think about her and that Peplos, man.
Okay, you're gonna leave that right where it is, Mike.
Yeah, I was. When she was on that cruise, I was saying, fuck, if only I could get to that iceberg, man. Really.
Mike, this is inappropriate. This is highly inappropriate.
I'm just thinking of Tony and Nina Hall hanging off that iceberg in her Peplos. I would have been there.
Jesus, Mike.
I would have been there like a motherfucker. I would have been there so fast, man. I'll tell you what. I used to have a cigarette boat.
A what?
A cigarette boat.
A cigarette boat. What happened to it?
Well, it sunk.
Okay. Sorry to hear that, Mike.
I'll tell you what happened. The tobacco got all wet, and then it just fell apart.
Okay. Mike, cigarette boats don't involve actual tobacco.
No. Mine was made of cigarettes, and I thought this will be great, because I can go off on my own, away from the little woman, and I can smoke my boat and
This
float.
is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard from you, Mike. I don't. Okay. I'm going to let that go. I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah,
Mike,
that's
why are you
I was-
calling?
I was calling to back you up, man, because you're right. Paula Poundstone does not know more than one song on the fucking glockenspiel, man. She doesn't. And you know what? I don't know how
What?
you put up with her. She's a goddamn bitch. I don't know how.
Oh, no. Hey, now. Hey, Mike. Mike,
Yeah.
we have standards on this show, and if you're going to call my friend Paula Poundstone that word, you'd might as well get off the phone.
All right, I'll call you back, man. We'll hang out after the game. Good talking to you.
No, we won't. Okay, it wasn't. So I apologize for Mike, Paula. He does that almost every week now.
Man, he loves you. He is.
Sure does.
He is
But
one of your followers. If you were to call, a meeting, even though we're not supposed to gather in groups, Mike would come.
Yeah, he would. I wouldn't invite him, though. Coming up, Irma Bombeck wrote, I haven't trusted polls since I read that 62% of women had affairs during their lunch hour. I've never met a woman in my life who would give up lunch for sex. Gallup polling's editor-in-chief, Mohammed Younis, is here to talk about why we should trust polls. That's when we return on Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. Well, we all shop online a lot, especially these days. Am I right, Paula Poundstone?
We do.
Yes, but did you know that you can make online shopping even better?
Well, that seems impossible.
Well, you can, and you can do it with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that saves you money online. Honey automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart no matter where you're shopping, which makes online shopping finally feel as easy as it's supposed to be.
Wow. So here's how it works, you guys. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites: Target, Best Buy, Sephora, Macy's, eBay, Etsy, Walmart, etc. When you check out, this little box drops down, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. Wait a few seconds for it to scan every promo code on the internet and watch the prices drop. Now, our own, my manager, Bonnie Burns, Captain Crinkle, she told us about Honey to begin with. She
That's right.
loves it. Bonnie, what else have you bought with Honey?
Yes, Paula.
Why are
Okay,
you laughing, Bonnie?
No, because I tend to sound phony when you guys throw something to me, like you go, our manager. Let me start all over again. Okay.
No, that was good, though.
No, okay.
That was great.
Yes, Paula, I know I tend to sound phony when you throw me a line like that, but we really do use Honey. Now, guess what I was just shopping for?
What?
No,
were
we're
you
not going
just
to guess,
shopping
Bonnie.
for?
We're not guessing.
Okay, I'll tell
I'm
you.
guessing.
You are? Take a guess.
A small pencils.
No, you're wrong. Okay, so
I was going to go with a companion who will listen.
Okay, I was just shopping for a landline phone because we don't have good internet service up here. And I looked all over Amazon, Best Buy, Target. I even did Costco and Walmart. And every time the little Honey thing came down and showed me what kind of discount could be applied. And that's how I saved $4.17 on the phone we bought.
That's fantastic.
That's terrific.
You finally bought it from Etsy, and it's actually a crocheted phone. That's fantastic.
Yeah, not a smart move.
But you didn't pay full price for it, so that is fantastic.
Yeah, because of Honey, I never pay full price for anything.
Now that sounded like you were reading.
Well, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I really do like Honey. And I'm glad that we got him as a sponsor.
All right. This is a great time to stop talking, Bonnie. Hey, did you know that Honey supports over 30,000 stores online?
No.
30,000. Even Bonnie couldn't shop at that many stores online, and they're adding more every day.
Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. Who can afford to do that now? It's free to use and installs in just a few seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's good. Get honey for free at joinhoney.com/Paula. That's joinhoney.com/Paula. Don't make Captain Crinkle the smartest person in the room. On this day in unremarkable history, Henry Ford said, "You had one job."
Thank you, house band Jim Ross.
Thank you, Jim.
Paula, do you feel like in a way you've been reunited with Jim?
I do. And you know what? Apparently, despite me telling him not to practice, he kept practicing because that sounded great. Thank you very much. Actually, professionally, he's called James Ross, Master James Ross.
Should we have been calling him James Ross?
I can't.
Okay, then, and I won't either. Now, Paula, let's move on. Do you trust, and I'm going to be very specific here, President Trump's approval rating?
No, it seems impossible.
Why is that?
I don't know, because he did stuff like kept saying that the whole virus was a hoax, and I mean that alone. If you took every other bad thing the guy has done, and there's plenty,
right?
But if you took everything else off the table, and wait a minute, the bud puppy is squeaking a toy. Could you hear it?
Oh yes, we could.
I don't know if I can get her to stop. Hold on just a second.
Oh, I don't think there's any reason to get her to stop, Paula. We've gotten this far without being professional.
I think you're right. She'll give it up soon, won't she? Anyways, I think if you took everything else off the board that he had done, and you left, all right, I'm going to make her stop.
No, I think that if anything, the squeaky toy is adding to your political analysis.
I think, you fucking dog. All right.
This is what makes our quarantine show so charming.
You know what, Mohammed? She always did this, even in the studio.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was a problem.
We're going to get around to introducing Mohammed right now.
All right, no, wait, I'm letting the dog go. Hey, Al? She's using a squeaky toy, unfortunately.
Okay.
Right,
back to your...
Okay, I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Back to your point, Paula. You're saying that you don't understand how Trump's approval rating could be hovering around 45% when, in fact, he's been messing up.
He's messed up, not a little, but a lot. You know, we could have been more prepared. We could have been battling this earlier on, this war that we're in with this virus. We could have gotten a lead on it. And therefore, no, I don't believe any of these polls. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I think there could be any number of reasons for Trump's approval rating right now. And I've got my own theories, but we have somebody here who can actually shed more light on it than even I can. On the phone with us, Paula, is an authority on polling. Mohammed Younis is editor-in-chief of Gallup Polling. For the past 10 years, he has led some of Gallup's largest global and regional studies on social, political, and economic issues. He is also the host of the Gallup podcast. Please welcome Mohammed Younis.
Hey, you guys, how are you?
Oh, we are great. Welcome, Mohammed.
Is this isolation thing as crazy for you guys as it has been for me?
Oh, yeah. How many people do you have in your household, Mohammed?
We're supposed to only have 3, but most days it feels like we have 15 in here. I don't know. My 7 and 4-year-old are kind of everywhere at once.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I have a feeling, Mohammed, that's what's happening with the polling numbers.
No,
you know, maybe you're onto something. Maybe you're onto something. Well, I think
doing it all in multiples of 5.
Well, let's start with what we were talking about just now with Paula, Mohammed. Are we really sure that President Trump has that many supporters?
I mean, yeah, we are, based on the numbers and based on the science of sampling and polling. Those are the numbers. I know you mentioned 45. We have them currently at 49, which is at a relative high. But only for him, right? And that's, I think, where a lot of people kind of stop the sentence. Everything is relative. And when you compare President Trump's approval ratings to every president in modern history, there are 2 things that stand out. One is that they've remained low and they've consistently remained low. So a lot of other presidents, what we see is sort of a honeymoon period where people kind of give the president a chance. It starts off higher and then goes through some challenges. The most dramatic change, if you will, was George W. Bush, who
I was about to bring that up because he had the highs of 9/11 and then he left in the doghouse, didn't he?
Absolutely. He left about almost half of where President Trump is today. It's important to keep in mind another thing too, and that there's also another kind of source of relativity, if you will, which is presidents in times of crisis. We've been tracking American attitudes about their leadership, but also about pretty much everything under the sun that matters to leaders since the Great Depression. It's actually when some of the first Gallup polls were ever fielded in the United States. It was right as the Great Depression was crashing. Back to the point on President Trump, usually we see about an 18% increase in presidential approval after any kind of like a major national moment of crisis. President Trump, as of now, in our polling, has gone up 4 points.
Wow.
And the last time we polled on President Trump's approval, we pulled out of the field in the 22nd of March. We'll be updating our presidential approval number in about a week's time. So it'll be interesting to see where he's at. We've also, though, been polling about other actors, if you will, in the COVID crisis. One of the really interesting trends that we're already seeing, or realities that have kind of come up to the surface right away, are people are much more positive on healthcare providers and their local hospitals in their approval of how they're handling the crisis than they are of elected leaders generally. And generally speaking, in the US, in times of crisis and outside of times of crisis, the Americans tend to be much more positive about local government than the federal government at almost every level. Mm-hmm. So, Paula, you may feel, we can talk about what a representative sample is. You may feel that among those you're interacting with and the information you're consuming, there's no way that half of the country is, pleased with the job the president's doing.
That's exactly what I feel. You intuited that. Let's share Eva.
And that is called a convenience sample. It's super convenient, but it doesn't represent the whole population of the country.
I believe you, but what I can't understand is, I know a lot of it has to do with, that there's ways of phrasing questions.
Absolutely.
Right? But look at this guy said it was a hoax. It wasn't real. It was going to go away, by Easter or in a week or two, or it goes away in April. Everything's going to be fine. He said those words. And because of that, and he knew even before that, he didn't prepare. How can you phrase a question that can make anybody in their right mind say, yeah, that's a good job? Not only that, but he has the balls now to say, well, I knew it was a pandemic from the start. Just, that's nutty. It's nutty. And that's not convenient.
First of all, I should kind of go back and say, at Gallup, since the 1930s, we're very committed to being neutral and nonpartisan. So our focus isn't really on, and we totally obviously love and support that Paula has a perspective on how the president's doing. But what's most interesting to us and most important to us is to really compare how the current leadership is doing to other periods within moments of crisis, I think, relative to now, but just generally to all presidents. So if you go to our website, one of the coolest things you can do is basically compare the current president to every previous president in modern history going back to FDR to see how their approval ratings were going in various periods of their presidency. You can kind of see what was happening in that time of history in America. So it's not, what Paul is saying is very common and totally understandable. The funny part is there's a whole other 50% of people that feel exactly the inverse, probably, of what Paula feels, which is, I can't believe people are not overwhelmingly approving of this president. And, we had a very similar situation with President Obama as well.
Right. And of course, that might have to do with what media they're consuming.
Okay, but is there something in the way that they're asking the question? I could never be a pollster, but
How do you ask the question, Mohammed?
Do you approve or disapprove of the way that President Trump is doing his job? And that's exactly how we've asked the question of every president. But Paula, you make a very good point in that it really does matter not only how you ask a question, but where in the survey you place a question. So there are all kinds of biases that can work their ways into public opinion polling. One of the most commonly known ways is kind of question wording. So if you're leading the respondent on to sort of feel that there's a right or wrong answer, or you're giving the respondent a loaded question that sort of assumes two things before you ask them their opinion about a third thing, those are ways to really get data that are not very useful. But
so, for example, if you said, "How do you think this lying motherfucker is doing?"
Right.
That might tilt someone's response.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. But at the same time, you could also say, this ice cream is the best you've ever tasted, isn't it? As opposed to saying, what do you think about the flavor of the ice cream?
Right.
So you can ask it that way. The other thing you can do is have a survey where you're asking a bunch of questions that kind of prompt the respondent to be thinking about something in particular, or having maybe a negative attitude about something in particular. So I can ask, for example, Paula, I could ask you, about a series of decisions President Trump has made and whether you agree or disagree. And then I ask you, do you approve or disapprove of the president? So you're going to feel compelled to give an answer that's sort of consistent with what you just said previously. So those are two very common ways that bias can kind of work its way in. The third most common way, and I think for folks that are listening that are not really pollsters but are being bombarded with polling information all the time, is to really check the source of who's funding the research. So one of the things we've done since the 1930s and continue to do is we're completely committed to never taking money from any special interest organizations or partisan groups to poll on anything. So we would never take money, for example, from
Paula Poundstone.
No, never. We would never do that.
Well, I have good news for you.
Well,
I have very good news for you. I'm unemployed. I have no money to give you.
Unfortunately, so many increasingly now Americans. And I'd love to talk to you guys about the polling we've been doing around COVID, because it has been really shocking to see the widespread impact of the current situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Paula,
absolutely. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically for the past 4 weeks, under the leadership of our chief methodologist, Jenny Marlar, we have activated what we have built.
Wait, can you back up? Sorry, yeah. Mohammed, what's a methodologist?
So that's a great question. A methodologist is somebody who is part of a team of people who collect public opinion data, but their expertise actually is in how do you design a study to actually achieve what you're trying to achieve. So one of the things, Paula, to keep in mind is, and this is actually goes back to the point I was making about not only who funds a poll, but what are they claiming that the poll represents, right? So a lot of times we'll get a poll and it'll say, 6% of Americans think this. And actually it's like a poll of LA, Chicago, New York, and like Denver. And if I grew up in LA, I live in DC, but I also went to law school in Lexington, Virginia, which is just beautiful and very rural. And I can tell you, those are two very different realities. So to say that, just a few respondents from very specific places in the country, and this happens even more globally, represent a whole country is really a challenge. What Jenny and her team are experts at is basically figuring out who are we trying to gather opinion about, and how can we do that accurately? Should we be using a phone survey? Should we be using an online survey? What questions should we ask? What questions do the best? How can we order the questions in the survey? So they're very much into how to do the study. The bias of being willing to participate in a survey has actually always been like a chicken or the egg question for polling experts, like since the beginning of polling. But that also applies to a whole bunch of other things, like who's more likely to stay on the phone for 30 minutes? Who's more likely to pick up the phone on a weekend? Who's more likely to answer the door versus pick up a phone if it's a face-to-face versus phone survey? So there are, methodologists galore worldwide study these things and try to test what are the methods that are most effective in certain contexts. Like, for example, here in the US, we use phone surveys, but we also use our panel survey, which is we recruit people via snail mail, and then they can fill out the survey online. The benefit of that is we can get data much quicker. So since COVID has really kind of gone into full-blown crisis for the past 4 weeks, we've been polling Americans every single day on how it's impacting them, their well-being and stress and worry, how it's impacting their employers, their concern about contracting the virus, their confidence in getting a test. And we're reporting on those findings on our website at news.gallup.com. For those of you who are interested. But
Mohammed,
go ahead.
What's important about statistics? Why poll any of this?
And that's an excellent question. Our founder, Dr. George Gallup, had an epigraph, which actually I looked up the other day, means a quote that defines your career or your life's mission.
I love that.
I don't think I have one yet. Paula, if you can help me come up with one. Yeah. But his was, if democracy is about the will of the people, somebody should go and find what that will is. And he basically spent his career trying to figure out the people's wisdom vis-a-vis the issues they face, not because policy should basically reflect public opinion. And he was very explicit about this. But that his belief and our belief continues to this day that leaders can make better decisions if they have an accurate pulse on the people they're leading and the challenges they're facing and how they tend to behave in certain situations.
Well, George Carlin said, in most polls, there are always 5% of the people who don't know. What isn't generally understood is that it's the same people in every poll. Stay tuned to hear more about polling from Mohammed Younis. Well, Paula, I don't have to tell you that this world is completely wireless nowadays. And if you're me, you need a
there are hangers. I have wire hangers.
I've told you many times that we want no more wire hangers, Paula. Paula?
Yeah.
No more wire hangers.
Yeah, I was just pointing out.
If shit gets real between us...
Not entirely.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
I gotta tell you something, Adam.
What?
When I had my raisin toast this morning and I twist-tied the bag, what do you think was in that twist tie?
A wire.
Exactly.
All right. There are other things, though, that are better without wires. I think we can all agree.
Yes.
Like a great pair of earbuds, which I use all the time. But before you pull what I call a Tony Anita Hull and drop hundreds of dollars on a pair of wireless earbuds, you need to check out the wireless earbuds from Raycon.
You already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and that they sound just as amazing as other top audio brands you know.
And I'm living proof because I have their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, and they are great.
What? What are they called?
They're called the E25 Everyday Earbuds.
Oh.
And it's their best ones yet. They get 6 hours of playtime per charge, seamless Bluetooth pairing. You get a lot of bass, more bass than you usually would expect for this, and a compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. It's really great. And you know what? The little case it comes in charges your earbuds. You charge the case, and then you can take the case with you in case you run out of, stuff.
Oh, that's fantastic. I do that with my glasses.
Right, your glasses come with the case, but I think what I want to point out here is that you probably can't plug your glasses case into the wall.
I do, and I charge my glasses. It's fantastic.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that's even more useful for earbuds. Unlike some other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet. There's none of those little stems dangling from your ears.
Oh, I hate that.
Exactly. So, as I've mentioned before, the company was co-founded by Ray J and celebrities like our own Cardi B. By the way, Paula, how come she hasn't added any stuff to the vocabulary song recently?
Oh, she's working on it. She's
All right.
she's working on it, and she's wearing her Raycon earbuds while she works on our vocabulary song.
By all reports, she is obsessed with Raycon. So pick up a pair and see what the hype is all about.
Now's the time to get the latest and greatest from Raycon. Get 50% off your order at buyraycon.com/Paula. That's buyraycon.com/Paula for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/Paula. Don't make me have to say it again.
And we're back with Gallup's editor-in-chief, Mohammed Younis.
Hey guys.
Did you enjoy your break, Mohammed?
It was better than anything I've experienced in isolation thus far. Thank you. You know, Paula, one of the things I get asked about a lot these days is socialism and whether Americans are kind of warming up to socialism. The quick answer is actually they're not. But what is happening is a considerable number of Americans are souring on capitalism.
That's interesting. But are they warming up to? Are they not warming up to socialism because you're using the word socialism?
And that's a really important part too. So what we did is wanted to figure out what the heck do people mean by socialism. And what we found is that about 20% of Americans think of socialism as some sort of increase of social equity and fairness. Only 11% of Americans actually think of socialism as government controlling the means of production, or like, you know, the kind of the more classical traditional term. But when we ask Americans, like, are you living basically in a socialist economy? Is the economy mostly government managed, private sector managed, or a mix of both? Americans split into thirds in how they describe the economy.
You are if you're rich.
Wait, you are which one if you're rich? It's a socialist.
Socialist. If you're a corporation, you're absolutely living in a socialist economy.
Well, you know, one of the fascinating things about this crisis compared to 2008, and I think a lot of that sentiment, Paula, really took off after 2008, where people felt like there were these bailouts for the larger actors in the economy, compared to this rescue package that's at least apparently we hope presented as much more focused on like small business and citizens. Mm-hmm. But yeah, absolutely. We've picked up since the 2008 crisis this souring of on the part of some Americans of capitalism, of the way that the system works, perceptions that the system is rigged. Today in America, 76% of people say that corruption is widespread in government. Now, it's important again to distinguish that that's not local government. That's like federal government, Washington, D.C. Americans are very, very positive on local government and actually see it as very non-corrupt.
All right. You talked about methodology, right?
Absolutely.
How can you possibly get, you know, a nice, neat result when you have so much data?
Well, you know, that's a great question. And the as a researcher, the benefit of that is that it's, you know, at the end of all of these efforts is always more questions and more research to be done. But you get to an important point that you can really cherry pick data to say anything you want to say.
Oh, yes.
And I think in the world of public opinion, especially I think here in the United States, in terms of political public opinion research, we've really entered an era where that's being done, it feels at least, a lot more than it used to. You know, one of the things that's one of the reasons we've always kind of been committed to this nonpartisan approach, because we feel like if you can't, certainly, you know, we're all human beings at Gallup, we're not robots, and everybody has their bias as a person. But what we're trying to do is really check our bias in a way that not only accounts for our own kind of human political tendencies to see the world a certain way, but also reporting the numbers in a way that's transparent and is consistent with what listeners may have heard of. It's called the American Association for Public Opinion Researchers. It's sort of the association of you know, people who study public opinion and do it seriously. There are a series of standards to how you kind of not only report the numbers, but report how you gathered the data back to that methodology piece.
Right.
Let me ask you something. Do you guys have like an annual event, like a black tie thing?
It's not even a black tie thing. It's a very hard-working, roll-up-your-sleeves annual conference that, like everything else, has been canceled and gone virtual. I
would so love A, to entertain there, but B, to just be among you. Like I can just see you at the buffet. 4 out of 5 people won't eat that cheese. You guys must be constantly giving one another data.
Yeah.
And how, Mohammed, do you get your expertise? Did you take a class, or like at these meetings of the American Association of Public Opinion Researchers, are there breakout sessions like titled shit like A Show of Hands? Are there, where did you?
Absolutely. Actually some of the breakout sessions, Paul, are hilariously titled.
I'd love to see the catalog.
But one of the cool things about public opinion is it's very interdisciplinary. So if you were to go to APOR, or if you were to kind of walk the halls of Gallup, you would meet a really interdisciplinary group of people. The one thing probably that we all share at Gallup, at least I can speak for us, is what we're trying to do is really measure things in a valid way, in a reliable way, which means like if you replicate it, you get the same numbers. And in a way that helps, again, isn't just sort of survey says this is interesting data for this week, but really something that tells us about where are we now, where are we going, and what has happened in the past that can inform potentially what happens in the future. So,
Mohammed, if we were to walk the halls of Gallup, what would we see on the walls?
Nothing right now. I mean, there would be nobody there.
No, but what's on the walls? I'm just wondering. Motivational posters, charts.
That's really funny. One of the coolest things on our walls are quotes by Dr. Gallup. We have some very cool, very old, kind of like foam boards made of newspaper postings from the 40s, from the 50s, 60s about different headlines from polls that he and his colleagues were running back in the day. But you're also read a lot about Clifton Strengths. So one of the things we do at Gallup is this thing called Clifton Strengths. It changed my life. It changed everybody's life. I know that's tried it. If you haven't tried it, you should. But you'll see a lot of the rooms named after our strength rooms.
Your what? Your strengths?
Yeah. So Clifton Strengths is basically a framework that was developed by a Gallup scientist named Don Clifton in the 70s. Don Clifton was a World War II, like basically somebody who led flights of planes bombing towns across Europe in World War II, came back from the war, wanted to do something positive and productive, started studying psychology, and he came up with the idea of, why is psychology all about what's wrong with people? Why didn't we study what's right with people? So instead of telling me I'm schizophrenic and I have, all of these anxiety and depression, what do I actually do as Mohammed in situations that have brought me to where I am, in succeeding, in setting out and achieving the goals I'm intended to achieve? So this guy, basically Don Clifton, did millions of interviews where he tried to understand what are the common themes, talent themes, that people rely on to get through everything, whether being a parent, being a worker, being a partner in a relationship, being a manager at work. And there's 34 themes. At this point, his big dream, I think, was to have, I'm going to mess up the numbers now, like 1,000 people that never met him to take it. And today we're almost at like 20 million people across the world taking Clifton Strengths. So my number one theme is relator, which means that the way I lead, succeed, work, develop, create is through relationships. Other people, the inverse of relator is like woo. If you lead with our chairman leads with woo. A woo is somebody who will go into a cocktail party and meet every single person at the party, and every single person probably leaves saying, wow, that person was really interesting. I should connect with them. Relator,
why do we call that person a woo?
because they're basically wooing everybody in the place to kind of know what they have to offer, to experience what the other person has to offer. A relator, so I'm a relator. I would go into that same room and I'd find Adam, who I know really well, and I'd spend the entire night sitting there talking to Adam, building on our relationship, coming up with our next big entrepreneurial endeavor, etc. So
sorry, Paula.
No problem.
Paula, you're totally out.
I'm the night curator.
Well, it's interesting because what Strengths is about is trying to understand what are the things that that I excel in naturally, and investing more time in those themes and creating more intention around how those things play out in your life. And the application is literally like universal. It's in everything. It's really cool. My wife, her number one theme is restorative, which means you're a person who naturally sees things as broken that need to be kind of fixed, or you're motivated by trying to fix problems. So that's probably the number one reason why she married me, because she realized this person needs to be fixed.
How can me and Paula take this test and find out what our strengths are and what kind of person we are?
Oh, you just Google Clifton Strengths. You can take the assessment online now in our digital world.
Paula, we got to do that.
Yeah, we should.
I will I encourage you guys to do it only because I guarantee you it will trip you out how much it will be on the money.
Oh, I have to ask you one more question. So when my daughter and I would watch the news together sometimes, my oldest daughter and I, and they were telling what group voted for who and who supported what, sometimes they would say like what women supported, and then they would say what, African Americans supported. And my oldest daughter is both African American and a woman. And I would always say to her, honey, which group are you in? Isn't that weird that they keep doing that?
Well, I think you make a really good point in that people's realities, I think, are increasingly not defined by the stereotype categories we're trying to place them in. One of the other ones, Paula, is millennial. So like a lot of people like to stereotype millennials as like these latte drinking, mall go, and a lot of them I'm sure are, a lot of us are. But there are a lot of millennials whose parents are also living in Rust Belt America and whose communities have completely fallen apart because of economic challenges they're facing. Right. So I completely agree I think on every level, racial, economic, geographic, the more that we can get away from kind of these overarching stereotypes and study everybody's reality just through numbers, I think that the closer to the truth or the various truths they're living, we'll get to.
That sounds great.
Thank you, Mohammed Younis, for helping us understand how to read data. But now we're going to take the data that you've given us and we're going to run it through the old Poundstonator. Paula?
All right. This is one of my favorite moments in my whole life. James Ross, can I get a little background music? And I'll tell you what my takeaways are. Perfect. I had always assumed I knew everything about methodology because I was raised Methodist. But Mohammed never said a word about square dancing, Jesus paper dolls, or potluck suppers. I suspect now that my own hobbyist polling may have been flawed. I often got in front of a group of people at an airport gate and asked, which one of you nutters voted for this lying, cheating president? I've never found one. Muhammad mentioned Clifton Strengths, of which he says there are 34 themes. He said there are wooers, relators, restoratives. I don't know the whole list, and you're only supposed to be one, I think. But I think it's going to turn out I have a lot of them. Cat gatherer, staller, vacuumer, sifter, damp mopper, remarkably soft tri-poly blend t-shirt with a self-portrait on the left breast and a memorable quote on the back, seller.
All right, he is editor-in-chief of Gallup Polling and the host of the Gallup podcast. Thank you so much for being on our show, Mohammed Younis.
Woo. Thank you, Mohammed.
Coming up, Tony Anita Hull opens up the listener mailbag. Keep those virtual cards and letters coming. They can't quarantine our email.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 8989 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 8989. Enjoy!
And we're back. Thank you once again, house band Jim Ross. Hey, Paula, you know what I did this week?
What?
I taught my daughter how to ride a bike.
Wow.
And I bring this up on the show because I told you this on the phone, and you told me that you disapproved of the way that I taught her.
I didn't say I disapproved. I said that people learned. You said this is the only way to teach how to ride a bike. And what I said was, people have learned to ride a bike for centuries, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
You don't have to do it that way.
I didn't say you had to.
Tell the listeners how you taught your daughter to ride a bike.
I tried to teach my son
The first thing he did was scare her. He said, I'm going to get you. And she had to get out.
Yeah, exactly. No, what I did was...
he taught his son to drive a car the exact same way.
Yeah, you just have to let them know that if they don't get away, they've had it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
several years ago, I tried to teach my son how to ride a bike, and I tried to teach him the way that my dad tried to teach me, the way that so many dads try to teach their kids, and moms had to teach their kids how to ride a bike, which is you just kind of like run alongside the bike holding it, and then you let go.
Right.
Now, this didn't work to teach my son, and so I eventually had to learn how to teach him. He took a class, and I watched this teacher teach him, and the teacher taught him how to ride a bike in like an hour and a half. And I thought, wow, it took me days with the dad running and the me falling thing. And it turns out that, like, to teach a kid how to ride a bike, you take the pedals off, let them learn how to balance, and once they can coast along balancing, you put the pedals back on. And then they learn how to ride. And it worked.
You know, I got to tell you, my father did a similar thing, except for he took off the handlebars and the seat.
Yeah. He was trying to kill you.
Yeah. I tell you something. He took off the wheels and the handlebar and the seat. I rode around on a goddamn bell all over the neighborhood. It's
impressive. No, another reason I bring it up is that you've never learned how to ride a bike.
Yes, I did.
Didn't you tell me you don't know how to ride?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't tell you that. I just told you I rode a bell all over the neighborhood.
Never mind. Anyway, to get to the point,
I used to clip a playing card to my lower lip, and while I was falling down, it would hit stuff, and it sounded like a motorcycle. Answer the phone. Answer the phone.
No.
Answer the phone.
This happens when you're mad at me.
No, go ahead. Answer the phone.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Adam, it's just me, Mike Bum Bartfett. You know what? There's only one fucking way to teach any kid to ride a bike, and you have it. You take the pedals off, and then you wait for them to behave themselves, and then you put them back on. That's exactly right.
Mike, I really didn't need your help on this.
And then you say to your kid, you're not getting those fucking pedals till you do your homework. And that's so important during this homeschooling period that we're going through. Keep that in mind, parents.
Mike, I cringe to ask this, but do you have kids?
No, I don't have any kids.
No.
I'd like to have kids, but I'd like to have lots of them with different women around the country.
What? Why?
just to get laid a lot. That's really all. No, I like to get laid in every state, and I just, man, the idea of getting an erection in Florida is just so cool. You know what I mean?
Well, Mike, according to you, you were in Florida last week.
Yeah, but I didn't get laid. I didn't get laid. I'll be honest. Man. You know what?
What happened?
A lot of guys won't be honest about that, but I will be. You don't always get laid when you're in Florida. But I would really like to get laid in Florida because, there's something to me about having an erection in a state that looks like a flaccid penis. That is just so... I just love that idea. You know what I mean? It's just like, to me, I can get laid in Kansas, but who gives a shit? It's not the right shape.
Oh, Mike.
Don't get me wrong. I do want to get laid in Kansas.
No. I would like to get you wrong, Mike. I would like to end this conversation. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's good talking to you, man. It's really good talking to you. Feel free to call anytime.
I've never called you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Feel free to call anytime.
Bye, Mike.
See you later, Adam. Good talking to you, man. Good talking to you.
Paula, we've got producer Tony Anita Hull on the line here.
Hi.
All right.
Yeah, and it's time for that means. She's holding a big stack.
What does that mean?
She's holding a big stack of digital mail from our listeners. That means it's time to open up the mailbag. Mailbag. Wow, I miss our in-studio bands. All right, well.
I don't know. I feel I'm missing it, Adam.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like you got that
ready?
there. Wait, you want to do it again?
Ready? Okay, 1, 2.
Mailbag. Okay, that was great. You seem to have successfully replicated a doorbell. I'll take it. All right, Tony.
Maybe.
Yeah?
Maybe you just say it and Michael can put it in underneath.
Yeah.
Because I really nailed it, Adam.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, you can stop nailing it now. I mean, one of the great things about a experienced house band is that they know not just what to play when, but when not to play.
Yeah, I'm building up that experience now.
Yeah, and you just... Hey, Tony!
Mailbag, Tony!
Oh,
Mailbag!
my God.
What do you got, Tony? What do you got?
Okay, so here we go. Jack Johnson wrote, I am a loyal nobody who listens every Friday on my commute. It takes me a little over an hour, so it fits with the normal length of your podcasts. Today I started number 85, and I noticed that it would take an hour and 38 minutes. My immediate thought was, uh-oh, they must be going to invite Bonnie Burns to the microphone. And sure enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to tell you, Jack, you called that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
She doesn't, you know what? About Captain Crinkle?
Yeah.
She doesn't have the experience yet.
Yeah, well, I feel like she's got a lifetime of experience.
And when to stop. No, she doesn't know when to crinkle and when to stop crinkling.
That's for sure. But I think there are some people who can't learn.
No, the late Kenny Rogers had that song, The Crinkler.
Yeah, you gotta know when to fold them. Know when to fold them again, only louder. Know when to keep folding them.
Know when to crinkle them.
Know when to fold some more.
Yeah, you gotta have that. All right, Tony, what else? Okay, so Jack Johnson, you're almost as clairvoyant as Cher Eva. That was amazing what you did.
Yeah, you saw that coming.
Yeah.
All right, Tony.
I wonder when he saw it. I wonder if he went, I knew it. I
bet he did. All
right,
right, Tony.
What
what else is in the mailbag?
Dear Paula.
God damn it, Paula.
Screw Rachel. Oh.
Paula. Mailbag. Go ahead, Tony. No, now you stop. It's an easy
I had
musical
to stop.
assignment.
I had to stop for a minute because I was moving my guitar.
Yeah. You know what, Paula?
Otherwise, I sound like, if I don't move my guitar every few seconds, I sound like Lee Marvin in Paint Your Wagon.
No, you are one of our nation's foremost guitarists.
Yeah, that was a joke for people my age and older.
And so is that.
Okay, ready, Tony? Ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
Dear Paula and Adam,
Yeah.
screw Rachel. The simple sample dialogues are my favorite part of the show. I drive 45 minutes each way to work, and I wish your podcast was longer. What else am I going to listen to? That This American Life trash? Y'all are the best. Talk all you want. I'll keep listening. Kristen Coleman.
Kristen!
Wow.
Yeah.
I would stop short of calling This American Life trash, Kristen.
Right.
As a politic NPR employee, I would stop short. No, I very much enjoy This American Life.
I
but
do too.
I thank you so much, really, for your screw Rachel sentiment. Who tried?
Now, for those of you who don't remember, Rachel is a listener who wrote in a few weeks ago to let us know that our podcast is getting
Adam. She wrote into
our mailbag segment to let us know thank you, Paula, to let us know that our podcast was becoming too long. No, that what didn't make any sense at all. Anyway, she wrote in to let us know that she thought that. God damn it!
You know what I was just having, Adam? I was having that thing from the Word last week where you have an emotion that's so strong that you're immobilized, except for when my emotion got strong, I couldn't stop doing that. That can happen.
Yeah, I guess that could happen. But, instead of playing that, just go back to coughing.
Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
I was going to say that our God damn it, I hate that. Paula, I had a full-sized 88-key weighted keyboard on this show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. You should have really played it, Adam.
I didn't do that.
Ah! This is more portable. This is easier to reach. Don't you wish we were in the studio together right now?
So much, because then I would be able to break that fucking thing in half and throw it out of the studio. So yes, I missed the opportunity to do that. Anyway, I was just reminding our listeners that Rachel was the one who thought that our show was getting too long. And
yeah.
Interestingly enough, that complaint came in right before the whole coronavirus thing hit.
Right, because Rachel brought down energy to the universe.
I was going to say, for one, I bet a lot of people who are stuck at home are no longer thinking our podcast is too long. And also, if you're wondering what caused this coronavirus epidemic, I'm not saying Rachel's responsible, but I'm not saying she's not.
No, it was negative energy in the universe. I would venture to say, however, that there are many people that are stuck at home who still feel that the podcast is too long.
I'm one of them. All right, Tony, let's continue with mailbag.
Yeah. With
Paula,
what, Adam?
I said it. You should be ready.
Adam, what are we continuing with?
Mailbag. Mailbag. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. Is Scott Franciscus going to send us all a stimulus check? David Renteria.
Oh, that's an excellent question, David. Scott Franciscus has been such a fabulous benefactor to Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone. So I just want to thank him again.
In no way.
He have the highest bid for the for the trail mix. The Shirley Chisholm trail mix.
Shirley Chisholm trail mix on our online auction.
And I think he also had the Crystal Sutton lint ball.
I guess he's been taking part in our online auctions, but to date, the only actual money we know he spent was the money he spent postage due when he received that bar of hotel soap mailed by Tony Anita Hull in a regular envelope with one stamp on it.
Well, yeah, that required postage due, but that's not usually how we function. But he definitely wrote the check, Adam, for the I forget which item he purchased at the auction, but he definitely wrote the check for that.
He did? You've received
my
it?
My bookkeeper, Olga, always skims a little bit off the top, and I saw her wearing a nice outfit the other day.
Oh, so that must be the work of Scott Franciscus. All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain.
Tony, is there anything else in that mailbag? Mailbag.
We have one for Captain Crinkle.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Captain Crinkle, this does not mean that you have to respond to it. You have the option of being the strong silent type. Oh, God.
You know, Captain Crinkle has a daughter, and when her daughter was a baby, she used to put bubble wrap on the outside of her diaper.
I believe that.
So when the kid was trying to learn to walk, every time she fell over, it was like fireworks.
I can't imagine how much extraneous noise is in that household, and how shell-shocked her daughter must be by this point.
Her daughter doesn't seem to notice. Part of it is because Bonnie has just been in isolation on her couch for a couple of months now.
Right. She's been self-quarantining.
Yeah. Bonnie was self-quarantining before it really was a thing at all.
Yeah. She's been self-quarantining from her own bed. She's like, fuck that, I live on the couch now.
Yeah. She's really the queen of horizontal. She has a couch. She has a bed. She has a huge, very expensive outdoor lawn furniture thing that I am just blown away by that idea.
What, that she's got expensive lawn furniture?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that?
It just seems I wouldn't have, it wouldn't be the first thing I would have guessed about you, that you had like high end, that this would have been your dream your whole life. Finally, you were going to get your hands on some really expensive lawn furniture.
It was a splurge.
No, I wouldn't have guessed that either. What I would have guessed,
Yeah.
first thing I would guess about her is that her floor is made of Fritos.
Yeah.
That would have been my first guess.
It's how she keeps the cat inside. All right. What do we got?
You know, Paula, if this podcast thing doesn't work out, you could always end up as the musician for elementary school announcements.
I think you're right, Adam. Adam, answer the phone.
Really?
Yeah,
We're in the
Adam,
middle
answer
of-
the phone.
We're in the middle
Adam,
of
answer the
mailbags. Hello?
Hey, Adam, it's me, Miss Nancy. And you know, that is such a great idea you had for Paula, because we do, now I'm teaching online, and you know, in fact, I have put my online instruction is on paulapoundstone.com and also the Facebook page.
That's right. The Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone Facebook page and paulapoundstone.com now have Miss Nancy's, what looks to me, near daily instruction for students who are home.
There is a lot, because there's so much. I am a first grade teacher from Fairbanks Elementary School, and there is so much for the first graders to keep up with.
That's right.
That yes, I have made a lot of online instruction.
But this is a really great idea that you've had for if we ever do return to an actual building where the students come in and they line up, which is pretty much what you work on for the first year. Is
Lining
just
up.
line up.
Yeah.
If we ever, line up, we're going to work on lining up. I say that a million times a day in the classroom, but of course it's hard to say it in online instruction, line up, and the kid just stands by themselves. Well, that makes no sense. But
Yeah,
I
and
think this idea,
technically they're already online anyway.
online, oh, that's different. That's different. Online from lining up is very different. You know what? You would make a lousy first grade teacher, because that's just the kind of thing that confuses everyone. I have a student named Russell who won't sit the fuck down. And just that kind of thing, like online lineup, that's the kind of thing that can throw Russell for a whole semester. Oh, by the way, am I the 100th caller?
No, I believe you're caller number 57, I'm going to say, or 58.
Are you making it up, or is this scientific?
Tony, what caller is she?
Up?
Tony Anita Hall. She's 57.
57. Thank you, Tony. And Adam's just making up the numbers.
I'm not
He's
making them
got
up.
no passion for. He's making up the numbers. You know what? I'm going to warn the callers because you're making up the numbers, Mr. Felber. I can have your whole show shut down, Mister.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, Miss Nancy. It was a welcome break from some of our other callers.
It was nice talking to you, Mr. Felber, and I look forward to being the 100th caller so that we can hang out after the game.
Okay. In the event that there are ever games ever again. Tony Anita
There
Hall.
will be games. Oh, there will be games. All right, bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys.
All right. Tony, I usually treasure our mailbag, but are we done with it yet?
I think we
No.
should be done.
Is there?
What?
Do you have any
Tony?
others?
I do have Bonnie's correction if we'd like to hear it.
Sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Fuck you, Rachel. Fuck you.
Let Bonnie know that the New Madrid fault is pronounced New Madrid. Emphasis on mad, not drid, like in the city in Spain. And that's from Katie in Albuquerque.
Wow.
So Bonnie had said this when we were talking about our 8th grade science experience, but here's the thing. Bonnie looked it up. She didn't remember how to say it because she Googled it. And this is just another example of how when you behave in an unethical way, it comes back
I know, but
bite
like
you in the Madrid.
to be fair, Bonnie can't help but do that whenever you ask her anything. I mean, you can ask her, what she was just snacking on. Was it Cheetos? And she will be like, well, I Googled the Frito-Lay Corporation.
Yeah, she's a Googler. She's a horizontal Googler.
No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be helpful.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
She's trying to be helpful. Great. Because we're apparently done with mailbag.
Wait a minute. Adam, we're done with what?
God damn it, Paula.
Adam, what are we done with?
We're done with mailbag. Mailbag.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. And we're moving
As
on.
a musician, you just get an instinct. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you can probably put that old Glock back in its case now.
This glockenspiel has been handed down in my family for many, many years. My father is a German, Poundstone, used to be Fundenstein, and they made a name for themselves in the glockenspiel industry.
Yeah. Paula, this is the part of the show where we generally go to Quarantine Corner, where we offer helpful tips, exercises, things we remember from school.
You know what, though? Today, instead of doing that, I was just at the grocery store yesterday, and I just want to say thank you to the grocery store workers. The people putting the stuff on the shelves and ringing me out. They still couldn't be nicer, and I see people give them a rough time all the time about, you can't bring your own bags without bagging your own stuff, and the way the aisles and having to wait for, the 6 feet, and people get mad at them. And I know they don't mean to. Just, emotions are running a little high. And I just want to thank them.
I want to echo that, because thank you to those workers. And also, if you're out there and you're grocery shopping, that's one of the few times of your week that you're actually going to interact with strangers. So make it a positive one. Thank them.
Absolutely. As you're ripping the toilet paper rolls from their hand, thank them.
As you're elbowing an old lady to get at the last bag of rice, even though you have 3 in your larder already.
There's no shame in that. Some of us like rice more than others. I have to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting to do my job and get paid. Let me just say that.
Okay. Point taken, and we'll be back with more.
Are there still bankers, Adam? If I went to the bank, are there bankers?
Well, are bankers annoying?
No. Oh, so that
no.
wouldn't... Oh, because I was thinking, with customer after customer coming in with masks on, that's got to scare the shit out of them.
Yeah, it's a bad day for bankers. Actually, I do believe that banks are open.
Are they? Oh, I didn't know. Having no money, it never occurred to me to stop by the bank.
Yeah, well, there you go. All right, we'll be back with more Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone right after this. Fun fact, the act of banging your head against a wall for 1 hour burns precisely 150 calories, which means that if you really want to lose weight, just hang out with Bonnie Burns. All right, we're back, Paula.
You know what, Adam?
What's that?
While you and I were talking, Bonnie, Captain Crinkle Burns, looked up. She actually listened to an old episode while we were on, and she discovered that she can't do one thing at a time. She discovered that Scott Franciscus was the high bidder on the papier-mâché head from the Alcatraz escape.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The part of that I disbelieve the most is the idea that Captain Crinkle looked that up during our little break. It was absolutely Tony Anita Hell telling Captain Crinkle, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. I looked it up.
Really?
Yeah.
You did?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Anita Hull would stay. So Tony Anita Hull would stay focused on the work at hand.
Touche.
That's why, I love that Tony Anita Hull. One of the things I love about her is her focus.
Look at that. It's our favorite hand puppet, Mrs. Culpepper. Welcome.
It's good to see you, Adam Felber. To hear your voice. Tony Anita Hull is the best little producer we could ask for. She stays focused, and she's tried to kill herself on a cruise ship, and we have to stop her.
Given who she works with, who can blame her?
She has moved to a level of depression and unhappiness in her work with us that she's throwing herself at every cruise ship deal she can find. She must be stopped.
Tony, have you canceled your cruise ship reservation yet for December?
I have not. It is still on.
Well,
she needs counseling. That's what she needs. She needs counseling. She's bottoming out, if you will.
You know what? I think for all the other risks associated with cruise ships, I'd be most scared of the food, because I don't know if you know this, Ms. Culpepper, but sometimes food, especially if it's at a buffet, can be left out too long and become somewhat dangerous.
I've heard of such a thing, Adam Felber. I have heard of that.
Oh, you have?
Why, yes, my husband, Captain Culpepper, was in fact afflicted by a case of tyrotoxism.
Tyrotoxism? Horrors,
yes,
you don't mean a dairy poisoning.
It was a poisoning by cheese or other dairy products. That is correct, and in his case, it was a cheese. In fact, it was a particular kind of cheese, Adam Felber.
But we don't want to know, Ms. Culpepper.
It was the Gouda that got him, Adam Felber. Adam, let me ask you something.
Yeah?
Is there any way for the nobodies to get in touch with us?
Well, yeah, I was trying to say they could email us at nobodylistens-to-paulapoundstone@gmail.com. And you know what? We still have those contests and solicitations open. So if you want to submit something to our theme song contest, or we're trying to get a good vocabulary song to possibly replace Paula's, please, God, please, feel free to send those in. And speaking of Hotel Soap, Paula, you're not going to be on the road. So I guess you don't have to do any soap. Yes? Who isn't?
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing we want is to just put more burden on the listeners. A brief but compelling description of the show. You know,
right.
I would love them to go up on the homepage of my new website, which is up.
That's right. PaulaPoundstone.com is up. The store is up.
The
store's open. It's working.
It's right there at PaulaPoundstone.com. You can get my Butterfinger single, Not My Butterfinger, which is a social justice rap song with Butterfingers as the jumping off point. You can get the ringtone, which is now available for download at PaulaPoundstone.com. And, you know, now might be a very good time to grab a copy of my book, The Totally Unscientific Study of the Search for Human Happiness, which is also available through my website.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Let me just piggyback on that, Paula. If once you're done reading that, if you still think that reading is a good idea, you could go to Amazon and buy my novel, Schrodinger's Ball, by Adam Felber. You can get that on a Kindle or whatever. Or you could buy my 6-book limited Marvel miniseries, The Skrull Kill Crew. Marvel Comics. I wrote that too. Go ahead. Buy it. I dare you.
You know, people keep complaining about being bored, and look at the riches we're offering them.
We're offering a lot of riches.
You can find me and Adam on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You're going to want to get away from me and Adam.
Yeah, you will have had enough of us. And if you've had enough of us, I've got good news. That's our show. Nobody Listens to Paula Poundstone is hosted by Paula Poundstone and yours truly, Adam the Felber. Produced by Paula Poundstone, Adam Felber, Bonnie Burns, Ken Lezebnik, and Tony Anita Hull.
Once again, we want to thank my oldest friend in the world, James Ross, for being a kick-ass house band. Thank you so much, Jim.
Yeah, Jim, thank you.
Oh, and by the way, Jim was dying to do the pod. When I told him that we were looking for musicians because Tony and Adam thought musicians wouldn't want to do it this way, he was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" He shoved. There were harpists and violinists and viola players. He had to shove them out of the way to get in here. You guys are crazy. Every musician wants to do this show.
No, a lot of musicians want to do this show. I was simply trying to have it so that musicians could volunteer rather than be asked, because then it feels like a homework assignment.
Huh.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You know what Jim said to me? He said,
what?
I couldn't wait for you to ask. That's exactly what he said.
You're just making that up.
I am not. He said, Paul, will you please ask me? That's exactly what he said. And then when I told him what you guys said, he said, they are so fucked up. And
really? Because I've communicated with him a lot. What's that, Tony?
I said, I'm mad.
Yeah.
No, you know what he said? When he found out that Tony was planning on going on a cruise, he said, you know, there's something about her. Said she seems to be off keel a little bit. And I said, keel? She was keel hauled.
Wow. And a big thank you to our special guest, Mohammed Younis. Mixing by Michael Hoagie. Starburns production by Land Romo. Technical direction by Jessica Gutierrez. Transcription services for the show provided by TranscribeMe, a premier internationally used transcription service. Use code Paula Poundstone when placing your order at transcribeme.com to receive an expedited service.
9 out of 10 podcasters will say right now, that's our show for tonight. Won't somebody please listen to me?
You actually talk to 10 podcasters?
I do.
Oh my God.
I do. I talk, you know, especially during the stay-at-home order.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, my phone's ringing off the hook with people saying, "Will you do my podcast?"
How many do you do?
In fact, I don't even say hello anymore. I pick up the phone and I go, yeah, I'll do your podcast. It's one of the ways that society is changing, that we don't say hello anymore. We say, yeah, I'll do your podcast.
Starburns Audio, a podcast network.